All right, good morning, everybody. My name's David Ortiz, and I'll be the moderator for this panel, which is entitled Inside NCDOJ's Tort Claims Section. I'm here with our three distinguished panelists, Lisa Pacella, Melody Hairston, and David Larson. Just to introduce myself briefly, I'm a civil litigator with the law firm Smith Anderson in Raleigh, and formerly was a law clerk in the Eastern District of North Carolina before that. My practice involves all sorts of commercial and employment litigation, including litigating tort claims, mainly in the medical malpractice defense area. So before we start talking about the tort claims section and hopefully give everyone an inside look, I'll just ask each of our panelists to introduce themselves briefly and describe their background and what led them to the tort claims section. Melody, do you want to begin?
Sure. My name is Melody Hairston, and I am the section head or supervisor for the tort claim section. I've been at DOJ for about 17 and a half years now. I've been the section head for the tort claim section since 2017. And before coming to DOJ, I was an attorney with Legal Aid of North Carolina. Came to DOJ to the tort claim section in 2006, and I've been there since.
Wonderful. David or Lisa?
Go ahead,
Oh, no.
Lisa.
Okay. My name is Lisa Taylor Pacella. I am a Special Deputy Attorney General in the tort claims section. I joined DOJ in March 2001. I wish 2021. So I've been here for 3 years. And before that, I was in private practice, doing civil litigation on the defense side. And before that, I clerked right out of law school.
Great. And David?
My name is David Larson. I am also a Special Deputy Attorney General. I primarily work for the North Carolina Department of Transportation. I've been practicing in the Raleigh area since 1998. A couple of years ago, I decided that it was time to give some back, and so I started looking for jobs with the Department of Justice and found my home in tort claims.
All right. Well, thank you all. I think tort claims really encompasses a lot of different areas. Could you tell us more about the tort claims section's responsibilities and duties?
Sure. So the tort claims section is responsible for defending state agencies and departments and occasionally individual state employees under the Tort Claims Act and the North Carolina Defense of State Employees Act. So our section consists of about 30 people. We have 13 attorneys when we're fully staffed. We have 6 paralegals when fully staffed. I say that because often we're not fully staffed, but we have 6 claims investigators who are located throughout the state. They assist us with a lot of our pre-litigation claims that are smaller and perhaps can be resolved without litigation. We're thankful for them because we wouldn't be able to maintain our caseload without them. And we also have 2 program assistants who help us with all of the administrative tasks that come along with the literally hundreds of cases that our section handles. We represent all state agencies except for universities, which are handled through the education section here at DOJ. So we have a huge caseload, as I indicated, different types of claims, including personal injury, property damage, all the way from very minor to very complex agencies spanning from DHHS to DAC to DPS to DOT. And so you have cases ranging from highway roadway engineering cases to medical malpractice and everything in between.
Awesome. David or Lisa, do you want to add more?
I will say that one of the unique parts of the tort claim section, I think, is that our attorneys handle cases really from inception all the way forward. So we are sometimes involved with some pre-litigation matters, like Melody indicated. We have investigators, thankfully, who handle the majority of them, but we are sometimes involved in pre-litigation, and then through pleading, motion practice, standard 12B motion practice, through discovery, expert discovery, trials, and then all the way through appeals, through many different levels. So here at the tort claim section, you really do kind of run the gambit of the entire spectrum of litigation, civil litigation.
Another interesting fact is that unlike most lawyers, most of the time we're in front of the Industrial Commission. So not always, but the majority of our cases are heard by the Industrial Commission and decided by deputy commissioners with a de novo appeal to the full commission. So we see a lot more appellate type work than most people, onto the Court of Appeals. And another thing that we do here in tort claims, as everyone in DOJ does, is we take criminal briefs where people have appealed criminally, and we write the briefs for the state. So those are a couple other little interesting things about most of the lawyers in tort claims.
Well, it sounds like it really runs the gamut of civil and even some criminal litigation. Are there any types of claims that predominate in y'all's practice?
Definitely. And you see David and Lisa laughing because we have at any given time close to 3,000 pro se inmate tort claims. So one of the larger practices and case areas in our section would be defending those claims on behalf of the Department of Adult Correction. And that is, as you can imagine, a huge undertaking. We have 3 attorneys who handle that entire practice in terms of pro se. And we have paralegals who work with that team as well every day, day in and day out, so that we can keep that caseload under control. I started out as one of the attorneys in that practice in 2006. And so I can definitely tell you that with accuracy that it is a very demanding practice. We have hearings every week on those cases. Our other cases for DAC that we defend that are represented are handled by other attorneys in the section, and both Lisa and David have worked on those in the past, and myself.
All right, David and Lisa, anything you want to add?
Well, we're both specialized. I work mainly for DOT, and Lisa mainly does school bus cases. But we all do a wide variety of things. And I think that is what some young lawyers might not understand about tort claims, is if you want litigation experience, this is the place to be, because we litigate, and that's mainly what we do. And like Lisa said, we do handle some pre-lit stuff, but it's mostly just depositions and mediations and hearings and writing briefs. And we have a lot of hearings in front of the deputy commissioners. I hear from my former colleagues in private practice how tough it is to get in front of a jury these days, and I would agree with that on my last few years of private practice. And so if you're a trial lawyer and you're not doing trials, what are you doing? Well, we're doing hearings, which are basically the same thing without a jury, just a bench ruling from a judge that don't rule right then and there. But if, people that want experience, I don't know that you could get more than working at tort claims, because of the variety and just the intensity of the litigation cases that we have.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. And kind of piggybacking a bit off what Melody said earlier, I mean, tort, that word in of itself pretty much encompasses so many different types of claims. We have medical malpractice claims, which are a specialization unto themselves. Sometimes we have legal malpractice claims, which are also a specialization oftentimes unto themselves. And then as simple as slip and falls and car accidents and a whole wide variety. So not only are you getting experience on the different kind of pieces of litigation, but you also at any given time, really with any role within the tort claim section, you're kind of getting a piece of all different types of negligence tort cases, which is pretty cool.
I think y'all touched on this in your answers, but my next question was, is there something about the tort claims section that you think law students or young lawyers typically don't know about?
I would say that it's 100% litigation. Like Lisa said, we do handle some pre-litigation matters. But one of the things that I would say is that if an attorney wants to get litigation experience, in my opinion, it's the best place to go. And it's a place where you can decide whether it's really what you want to do. A lot of people think they want to do it, and they don't, they get into it and they don't like it. I actually in law school did not want to be a litigator. And, as fate would have it, I ended up as the manager for this section. And so I think for myself, it happened as me coming in wanting to work for DOJ generally. That was one of my dreams out of law school. And so when I came to DOJ, as I indicated, I started out with the pro se inmate cases, and then very quickly started handling, mid-range cases for all of the agencies. Like Lisa said, slip and falls, car accidents, and then moved into medical malpractice very quickly. Did that for several years, then moved into DOT claims. So I learned, engineering concepts that I never thought that I would be handling. And it really is interesting. It's something that it's hard to get bored, and you end up sharpening your skills or developing skills that you never thought you'd have. So I think that, like Lisa and David have said, we also handle appellate matters. We draft our briefs. We argue before the North Carolina Court of Appeals and the North Carolina Supreme Court. If you stay in tort claims for any number of years, you will eventually have the opportunity to do that. And one of the things that I think I didn't recognize, having been at DOJ for so long, is how unusual it is for an attorney to be able to do that, because in a lot of private firms, appellate work is handled by other firms. So I think that that's one of the greatest aspects, is that you can see a case from the beginning to the end. And you really can put your heart and soul into a case. And sometimes it ends up with heartbreak, but other times, you get to the end of the process and you can feel a huge sense of accomplishment. So that's one thing I would say that's different, I think, for tort claims versus other practices, and something that I certainly did not know in law school.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I mean, candidly, if I'm being honest, I didn't know about the tort claims section at DOJ when I was in law school. So many people listening may also have not been aware. I really wasn't aware of the tort claims section, honestly, until I saw the job posting that I applied to join. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, this is a pretty cool opportunity. I had no idea this existed. So, and to that extent, I mean, I think that just generally at DOJ, I wasn't even aware of kind of all the different sections that DOJ has and all the opportunities and specializations. So I would encourage law students or young lawyers who aren't familiar to take a look at DOJ and everything that it has to offer, and specifically tort claims, because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, in private practice, I actually had some claims with tort claims lawyers years ago. So I was familiar with them. But I didn't understand kind of the pace, which is good. I mean, you want to work as a lawyer, you want to litigate, like that's what we do, and so we get to do that. And one thing that I don't know that young lawyers consider are some of the perks of working for DOJ or a state agency is, we have state funded or subsidized health plans. We get actual time off. We have great bosses, at least in our section. But, just a lot of the perks that people kind of take for advantage. When I was my final time in private practice, it had gotten to the point where the TV advertising on the plaintiff side, and then just kind of the cutthroat marketing departments on the defense side, have made it where you are constantly concerned about the stability of your position. And that's not a concern here. There are always cases. There are cases and cases and cases. So I went from private practice, where it was a fight and it felt like marketing was a large portion of what I did, trying to bring in new cases and trying to resolve cases so I could get on to the next one. Here, there's no incentive. Like we will go and try a case. We don't have any incentive to try to get it off our desk and move it real fast. We'll try cases. And that's something I think that is missing in the modern day practice of law, with the internet and email and everything happening so fast. You just have to be thinking about your next case all the time. And we don't, because they're going to keep coming and coming and coming. So again, for the young lawyers, I would consider the perks of the job, the benefits, the actual vacation time. If you want to come to tort claims, we got Melody, who's a fantastic boss. And then just, litigate, litigate, litigate.
That's awesome. What would you say to a law student or young lawyer who's interested in practicing in the tort claims section?
So I would say to them, I think a lot of people dislike torts when they're in law school. I was one of those people. I did not enjoy torts at all. I didn't think I understood it. And I would have never thought if you'd asked me when I graduated and I'm dating myself, but 2002, whether I would ever end up being the boss, the manager, supervisor, or whatever for the tort claim section at DOJ, I would have never believed it. So what I would say to them is to keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. Don't box yourself in. Be open to where life takes you, where your career takes you, because you may have skills and talents that you did not know that you had, that you don't get a chance to develop until you get into your practice. One of the things that I love about DOJ, really the people at DOJ are awesome. And, I never thought that I would enjoy litigation because I felt like it was cutthroat and I didn't want to have to be in that headspace for my entire career. What I've found here is that although we litigate, our home, which is DOJ, is not that way. And I hope that remains to be the case in years to come. It is a place where we are nurtured as attorneys. We are encouraged to apply for jobs that might give us an additional promotion or help us to go to the next level in our careers. And the amount of support throughout this department, I think, develops attorneys who are able to do the right things for the right reasons. Also, we have awesome clients. Our state agencies are wonderful to work with. And I think that also alleviates a lot of the things that, I felt might be negative about being a litigator. So what I would say is that I am a prime example for someone who never thought that they would end up where they are. And so I would say just keep things open. Don't be discouraged if, you don't enjoy a particular course of study. Real life is not like the classroom. It's not. And if you've never been in the courtroom, then I think you see all of those concepts differently. I know I do now than I did when I was, 22 years old, sitting in torts or in contracts or any of the other courses that I took. So that would be what I would say.
That's great.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. When I was in law school, I did want to litigate, but I really had my eye on the private sector, the bigger law firms in Raleigh in particular. And so that was really kind of what my focus point was on. And I had the opportunity to work at some of those firms, and litigating at a private, bigger law firm is very, very different than litigating here. Your clients, very different. The interests are very different. And I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulder, frankly, litigating here, as opposed to answering to corporate general counsel offices or insurance adjusters or any of those types of folks who have very different interests. And I would really encourage any law student or young lawyer who was like me, who really kind of had their eye focused on that private, big law kind of sector. I think getting the experience is great, but keep your eyes open and keep your mind open to government work as well and public interest, because you still get to litigate, you still get to utilize that same skill set. You still get to try cases. You try a lot more cases than you do in the private sector, for sure, by like 100-fold. But also, you're also working for the benefit of the citizens of North Carolina, which, and of course, your client state agencies who are also working for the benefit of the citizens of North Carolina. So it's a very different sort of interest structure, which I personally enjoy a lot more.
And I agree with Lisa. dealt with insurance adjusters many, many times, which in tort law, you got to remember most of it's going to involve insurance. And so I dealt with insurance companies on both sides for many years. And one big difference to me is that I think insurance adjusters know their job, which is to save their company's money. Working here, if we see that there was a mistake made or a person was negligent, our state agencies listen to us and give us the money to settle cases. If we did something wrong, there is an ethos of accepting responsibility, which I didn't see a whole lot in private practice. And that has made a world of difference in my mental health. It's tough when you're dealing with people that just want to get some money. You come here, and if you say, look, I think you guys made a mistake, then they listen to you and you figure out how to resolve the claim. And so the amount of stress that alleviates just on a day-to-day basis is incredible. So in my time here, I've really enjoyed that part of it.
What's a typical day in the life of a litigator in the tort claims section like?
Chaos. So I'm speaking from a supervisor's perspective now. And that's chaotic in other ways because we just have so many people, so many attorneys, paralegals, and other support staff. But what I would say when I was practicing as just an attorney in the section, my day to day could change on a dime depending on what call I might get, what came in the door. I spent a lot of time when I was handling medical malpractice claims on the road, defending depositions, taking depositions. At one point, it was 20. I was either defending or taking 20 or more depositions each month. So a lot of miles traveled across North Carolina over those years. And obviously, a lot of our cases, we do go to trial, but we're not in trial constantly because most of our cases as well settle. And we're doing that, when it's in the best interest of our client and the best interest of the state. And so essentially a lot of what I did was the legwork through the litigation process to get to a point where I could reasonably evaluate the case, send it up the chain of command here, and send it through the chain of command of the client to get approval to try to resolve it. And I also spent time meeting with our clients. For instance, when I was representing DOT, they have offices all across the state. So it wasn't the Highway Building, which is the headquarters for DOT, is right across the Capitol grounds from our building in downtown Raleigh. But I spent most of my time traveling to county maintenance offices across the state and meeting with our staff there, our employees. When I was handling DAC cases, whether medical malpractice or other types of cases, I was at the prisons. And that was an experience in and of itself, just seeing how those prisons are run, seeing for myself what a day is like for a corrections officer in those prisons. And, so what I would say is that there was a lot of travel. Now I think there's less, and David and Lisa can speak to that. I think since the pandemic, a lot of what we do, we realized that we could do more remotely. So there is some of that, but then there still are situations where face-to-face is better. But Lisa and David can also expand on that.
Yeah, luckily I do take most of my discovery depositions at least remotely, because I represent, like David I think mentioned, I guess I failed to mention this, I represent primarily county boards of education for all 100 counties in North Carolina for yellow school bus related litigation. So I go anywhere from the mountains to the coast, as pretty much everybody in the section does. So I don't need to necessarily drive all the way to Asheville for, a discovery deposition. So doing it remotely is a really nice way that we can accomplish that now, which I'm happy that that's the case. But I think one of the good things about sort of your day-to-day, kind of piggybacking off of my general theme here, is we don't bill. So you're not really like super focused on filling your quota for the day and sending your point one email and getting your client on the phone as long as possible to run the bill up. That's not what I'm thinking. If I need to make a phone call, I will make it. If I need to spend a day researching something, I will spend my whole day researching it, and I don't have to worry about the client cutting my research in half or in a quarter or something, which are all legitimate things to think about if you're a young lawyer or a law student when you're kind of looking at that private, if you do want to litigate private versus maybe government type work. When you're looking at what your day-to-day looks like, it's really what my cases require. I can have a day where I'm back-to-back in hearings and depositions, or I can have days where I need to spend days researching really, difficult, complex issues, or I need to meet with my supervisors or my coworkers, and we can all freely discuss without sitting there staring at the clock, worrying about, I got to get X number of hours billed today. So really your day-to-day is what your caseload demands, which is kind of a really nice thing, and not what your client demands or what your bosses demand for your billing requirements. It's nice.
Yeah, I was going to say my day is probably like yours, David, except subtract any marketing or argue with the insurance company over my bill sheet. But we're just like any other litigators. We just don't have some of those other pressures. The pressure to earn. I mean, we work hard. I work as almost as much as I did in private practice. But it's much more enjoyable work. It's actually doing the work we're trained to do. It's actually writing briefs and going to court. It's not dealing with all the ancillary stuff. So our day to day is basically doing what we do. It's not the other. And I mean, I think you've heard everything that we've said about how we do what we do, and that's our day to day.
Yeah, I definitely see both the commonalities and the differences as well. Do y'all accept law student interns throughout the year, or only during the summer? What kind of responsibilities do they typically have? Any insight on that process would be great.
So yes, we do typically every summer have at least one intern. DOJ has an internship program that they have every year. We are currently in the interview process or about to begin the interview process for that. So usually we have one or two interns. That program has changed as well since the pandemic in terms of the way that we handle that. But our interns get an opportunity to go to hearings with us, or if they're remote hearings, they're able to observe those hearings, go to, with our cases, the first level of appeal from a deputy commissioner at the Industrial Commission is the full commission. And they sent as a panel of 3 commissioners. So it's very much the way that it's laid out is like an appellate argument. And so they're able to see that process. They are able to assist with research. And I'm very proud of that aspect of what we do because we are very busy. And one thing that, I've always wanted to make a point of doing, and I hope that I have done that, is to make sure that you don't get so busy that you forget that you were once a young law student who wanted to get their foot in the door. And I think it's our job, and particularly as public servants, it's our job to hopefully introduce a new generation to the value that can be held in this work. Because in my opinion, we are we stand between chaos with all of our processes and bureaucracy and the ends of justice. And I know it probably sounds, corny, but that really is the way that I feel about what we do. It truly is after almost 20 years. And in terms of our interns, I feel like that's a very important thing. And there's nothing wrong if they decide they don't want to do what we do. But I think it's important that we give everybody an opportunity who wants the opportunity to see what it's like. just as private firms give law students the opportunity to come in and intern for them. Lisa and David these days work more closely with our interns, so I definitely think they will have something to add to that as well.
Yeah, I really enjoy having our interns join us over the summers. I sort of think of it as kind of project-based or assignment-based type work usually, where attorneys in the section will give you, an assignment to do with a deadline, similar to what I think you would have in a private kind of environment as well. But anything from, summarizing medical records or summarizing discovery responses to drafting your own answers, basically just drafting motions, drafting discovery requests, drafting discovery responses. I've had an intern take a stab at. Obviously, everything goes through me, and then there's a process of working with them to get it in its final state before it's submitted. But just my goal with the interns every summer, I don't know that I accomplish it every year, but I kind of think about when I was a law student, and it was really nice after my summer to be able to say, okay, I have drafted an answer, I've drafted a 12B motion, I have responded to discovery, I've done like pretty much everything. So when I go into my interviews for after law school or whatever, that I can truly say that I've done each stage of the process. And I think that all of us kind of have that goal with our interns.
Yeah, I don't know if law school's changed since I was there. It's been a while, but they don't really teach you anything about the actual practice of law in law school. There's some clinics and maybe a writing thing, but they really teach you how to think and rationalize, but they don't teach you what the day to day is. And I think last year we did a very good job of showing our interns how it actually works, and I think we'll continue to do that.
I did want to just add as well that we do, with third year practice, some of our interns do get a chance to do some straightforward hearings for us. And I think that's another thing that they're so excited to do. And it helps us to just kind of look at our careers and ourselves a different way, to see them so excited to go in and argue a 12B motion or something like that. But we do, when we have people who are able to do third year practice, we have had them be able to go in to do some hearings for us.
That's awesome. Do you all have temporary positions available?
Occasionally. So with DOJ, it is based on need, which that's never an issue for our section, but also the availability of funding. So we have a process by which we can request temporary attorneys right now, and also temporary paralegals. I do want to say that as well. Right now we have a temporary paralegal, and we have one temporary attorney. And so we do have that opportunity available from time to time. We advertise those on the OSHR website, where our permanent positions are also advertised. They may be posted elsewhere as well, depending on our recruitment plan that HR initiates. We also, through Temporary Solutions, which is the state agency that assists with placing our temporary employees. So if someone is interested in temporary work, whether it's with DOJ or any other state agency, if they go to Temporary Solutions, they can register, they can submit a resume, and then hopefully if something opens up, they will be selected to possibly be able to apply for that.
That's awesome. Any final words from each of y'all for anyone thinking about the tort claims section?
So I think I would just say that, we are welcoming, and we always look for new talent and new people to continue the work that we do, to continue to move the ball forward. I owe so much to the people who were here in this section when I started, the people who hired me, the people who promoted me over the years. And I think that we hopefully will do the same for people who are looking to develop their skills, develop their talent, whether it ends with them staying here or whether it ends with them taking those talents elsewhere. We take pride in that process, and we take pride in those people who we have seen come through this section. I'm at a point where I'm a senior member of the section, and it really is an awesome thing to see an attorney come in, as an attorney fresh out of law school, and see them develop professionally, see them develop as people, and see them, do things they never thought they could do, build confidence, and then sometimes see them stay here, sometimes see them move on. But that would be what I would say. It's just we are in tort claims and DOJ generally, a place where you can work your way up. You can apply yourself. You can figure out what you're good at. You can figure out what you're bad at, and you can succeed.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think that we are a very supportive group. The attorneys all speak to each other regularly, bounce ideas off of each other. We all want each other to succeed. We don't have even remotely none of the type of competition that you would have at a law firm with your colleagues. We all have our own caseloads. We have our own clients, and we all just want each other to succeed. And so the support and the collegiality between all of us, I think, is really great. And I think that that's something that's really unique, and also something that's really important, especially when you're a young attorney, to have truly supportive colleagues and people at different levels in their career, people who have been here or who have been litigating for 30 years, and also someone down the hall that graduated 2 years ago. You sort of have all of these different levels of experience, and I think that's something that's really unique and something that's really important that's lacking in other places, that I would highlight for young attorneys and law students if they're interested in litigation.
And I'll, address the unanswered question probably. Yeah, we make a little bit less money, but can you really put a value on mental health and just not being super stressed? I mean, being a litigator, being a lawyer is an anxiety-inducing profession. No one can contest that. And being here at Tort Claims takes away a lot of the non-litigation related anxiety that goes with most private positions. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, I mean, it's a great spot. I couldn't say anything better.
Wonderful. This has been a fascinating and hopeful discussion with everybody. And I just want to thank you all so much for your time and for your public service for the citizens of North Carolina.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
David.